Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Azabi here, back again with Hunter x Hunter on episode 123, and I've officially reached the end of the notebook, which I started from the very beginning of the notebook on episode 1, and I didn't even manage to reach the end of the show before I needed to get a new notebook, so that's annoying, but you know, whatever. So at most I can get this episode and next episode on, I think, and then I'm just going to have to get a new notebook. But anyway, regardless, what happened in the last episode? Well, we finally had the start of the Netero and Meruem fight, which I was very excited for. But like in true Hunter x Hunter fashion, they completely went a different route to what I was expecting. So we had Meruem, who was essentially refusing to fight, you know, because he deemed that Netero was one of those like sort of worthy humans. And he's kind of like adopted this sort of communism style of like approach to how he's going to sort of like fix the world, and he doesn't like the you know, the difference in class between like those who are fucking suffering and poor and those who are at the very top and enjoying everything. So yeah, it's interesting. But Netero did get he's about to get some fight out of Meruem, because he sort of forced his hand in a way by saying that if you do beat me, I'll tell you your name, which is the one thing that he kind of you know, Meruem really wants at this point, you know. So we'll see. If you don't want to see my sort of theories on that, I did talk about like that a bit more in depth, obviously, in the post discussion for episode 122. Other than that, we had Shia and Yuppie, who are now heading to there, and I'm sure they'll come across the fight at some point, and it's untelling exactly what will end up happening with that. But as long as they kind of stay out of Netero's way, I don't think they'll be in much trouble. But you know, we'll just have to wait and see. And yeah, I mean, I think that was pretty much it. It was mostly that whole episode was to do with Netero and Meruem. So the other characters and whatnot, they're just, you know, continuing on from episode 121. Morel's obviously in safe hands now, like sort of getting treated for his wounds. Knuckles said that he's going after some other royal guards, but now the only royal guard that is within reach of him is Neferpito, and we know what's happening there. So I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I guess they're all they're all relatively safe as long as Neferpito's you know, tending to Komugi's wounds. So I imagine, unless we're going like straight into like a Netero Meruem sort of fighting thing across like multiple episodes, then I don't really see much else they can do other than Neferpito finally doing. How long did you say? Like an hour to heal like Komugi up to a stable sort of to like, you know, to stability essentially. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if that is the case. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about. I'm just waffling on at the moment. So yeah, we're just going to get into episode 123. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 123. Well, that's it. So Palm is now already reborn, essentially. I'm going to say that it's like reborn. I don't know like how similar it is to when the Scorpion Chimera Ant was like making people into... It doesn't look like she's suffering. I don't know how much of her is in there, if there is even any more. I mean, that's the thing is... Welfin said one of the royal guards. I'm going to assume that it was Shire that did it. I don't think the other ones... I mean, seeing as... Well, the other two, Yuppie and Neferpito, don't seem like those kind of ants that are... They're not as insecty. I suppose, like, Yuppie's, like, he grows out his wings and stuff. He kind of resembles some kind of moth. But Shire's, like, you know, a butterfly. And when he cocoons himself, he's already done that thing before. So I assume Shire's the one that's done it. And I don't know to what degree. I mean, Welfin did say that she was captured. Like, whether she was killed and brought back to life, I don't know if it's the same thing. So it's just something we're going to have to wait and see if it does... Like, if there is anything of her left in there. When that was... Like, when we saw, like, the whole cocoon thing before, where Shire was... I think Shire was flying around with, like, these little fucking creepy clones of himself and like going around just like looking for the king and stuff, and it's like, oh, this is the girl in the cocoon or whatever, and from that episode I said I talked about in the post discussion for that episode that I didn't know, like I was trying to theorize how it was going to go when, like, whenever like that event came to fruition. So if Palm was to be reborn before they got there, or they were aware of the information that she is in that cocoon and try to like remove her half done kind of thing, because I didn't know up to what similar situation it could have been to like the king, because the king literally broke out before he was ready, or before, yeah, like before like the full sort of maturation, and like it was basically the incubation stage like hadn't completed yet before Meruem broke out, and I wondered if it would have been a similar situation, but it looks like that's not going to be the case, and whether or not it would have killed her, or there would have been like, you know, like if there was like 20% of the incubation left, there would be 20% of Palm in there, you know. So I don't know if it's like a, I'm going to hazard a guess and just say it's a full transformation. I'm sure there'll be like, you know, a moment where, I don't know, it'll probably be Nov, I'd imagine, will see her and try to like, you know, bring her out of it, you know. It's like, you, like, this isn't you, something like that, and then it's just going to be a case of whether or not she is like that. The fact is that, because like the fact that she was even put in a cocoon at in the first place, like makes me think that, you know, she's, regardless, she's going to be under the influence of the Chimera ants in some form or fashion. You know, it seems like when they come out, they have instinctual things that they do, and then over time they get their own personality. But then that is, you know, that's when they are born sort of like the more natural way, as opposed to like whatever the hell they've done with her here. You know, but I fucking hell, and he has me thinking, yes, Akalgo's done his job, but yeah, I wasn't thinking like, yeah, if he's the only one that knows that she's there, then he's gonna go there, he's gonna be in danger. And I was thinking, oh, that's great, Akalgo's done his job, he's done his thing, such a great guy, and now he's still in trouble. This is where Knuckle come in handy. This is where it'll be good, because Knuckle and Mello aren't doing anything yet, and I don't think Knuckle and Mello are really needed to go up against Neferpito. That's like strictly for Gon to do. So I feel like the only real thing for Knuckle and Mello to do now would be to sort out this problem. And yes, I believe it's going to be a problem. I don't think Killua's going to have a, although it would, like, I suppose he has that more, some sort of prominent connection with Akalgo, so I guess it could work in some regard. But he said he was like charging up and getting back to full strength before he goes back to Gon, right? So I don't know if he'll, you know, decide to just go and see what's up with Akalgo and whatnot. I feel like he's just laying low at the moment. So yeah, and then the rest of the episode, basically, yeah, revolves around Akalgo and Welfin, which, oh god, I mean, the centipede thing was disgusting. I like that. To me, a centipede is the most horrific thing on earth. Like, that thing is fucking horrific. It's just disgusting. You know what I mean? Like, spiders are bad enough, but that is like, that's terrifying to me. I fucking hate those things. And like, oh, just like underneath your skin, on your head as well. Like, that's the worst thing. But I think it works in the sense that the previous episodes, I think it was like 120, right? 121 or something. I think it was 121, where Akalgo was, you know, he couldn't pull the trigger on the one guy, so he'll call himself a coward. Yet he can take all of that punishment and whatnot for the sake of others, or like in this case, you know, his friends and his team essentially. Which that is a, you know, that's not a coward, you know. And also, you know, the like back like a couple episodes ago, to not pull the trigger, I mean, there's strength in not being able to pull it as well. So, you know, he's got heart. He's got real fucking heart. Like, if there's anything that he does, like, that's what he's got. He's got heart. So that's great. I don't know if it was implied that Akalgo was Gyro. only from the perspective of Welfin, where he's saying that I don't know. I think it is, because it would have to be like I feel like it would. I think Ikalgo would have to be Gyro. If not, then he would have been just like another member of that sort of underground facility, sort of like drug operation thing that they had going on, like almost like slash rebellion type thing, because Ikalgo specifically mentioned that he knew somebody like this, Now we didn't really see much in the way of the flashback as to why. I suppose it's the idea that Welfin doesn't. Yeah, he loved the idea of telling the truth there at the end. Whereas before, I guess he would just lie his sort of his way. Like his whole personality was revolved around sort of lying to keep himself sort of and like sort of right and steady. Like he kind of just had this facade on the whole time, which I guess was the whole thing with Ikalgo. But that's the other thing as well. It's like I'm trying to think back to that episode where because we got like almost a full. Didn't we get like a 3/4 of an episode like dedicated to Gyro, and then he just never turned up again? Like, it was like, well, what the fuck was the point in that? But I've said this a couple times, with Hunter x Hunter, where there'll be something that crops up, and I'm like, oh well, that could easily just be filler, like that. I don't know why there was so much exposition on something that really didn't matter all that much, but then it sort of it does end up coming back and services services the story somewhat. So I've got to assume then, considering how much like we got on Gyro before, we got that image of like him like in a black robe, whilst some of the Chimera ants were coming in and basically killing them all, that there were some times where I know, because after those episodes when every new Chimera ant would like crop up, I would be like, is that Gyro? Is that Gyro? Because I was expecting like we've got so much information on this guy that clearly he has to be some prominent Chimera ant character now. Like he has to be one of them. And I'm trying to think back to what it was. It was like his father. Didn't his father like? He used to work in some he was doing labouring jobs and stuff, and he'd come back, drink, send the kid to bed. I send little kid Gyro to bed, and then he would get, like kicked around by like some of the adults and stuff, and his dad would like turn a blind eye and whatnot, and then he killed his dad, didn't he? And then he ran off, and then he sort of built his way up to being the called the king. And it would be interesting, like, because there is nothing from there that would possibly symbolize that is a Ikalgo, because they say that like that your sort of Nen is a like sort of an extension of yourself, so it personalizes to what you've got, which is obviously the whole thing with Welfin, with what he was saying there. Whereas Ikalgo's is like, I don't know, but if it reflects his personality obviously after the fact, is this what Gyro would have been like? The only reason why I'm saying that is because I think that there was a clear connection there between Ikalgo and Welfin, where it was just, and if Ikalgo did know who he was beforehand, it's interesting that he didn't. If he did know, that he didn't like say anything, because if he was Gyro, why wouldn't he say I am? But I don't know, because then it would work in the whole thing of Gyro was there to help me when I needed help, but then here again, like it works in the same way, and the relationship was the same. That's what I got from it. So I don't know if it does come out. I felt like that would have been the best time to reveal that, but if it's implied, then I suppose it's good as well. But yeah, if it's brought up again in the show, then it's obviously coming up, then you don't need to tell me, but if it doesn't get brought up again and I'm like wrong or whatever, then just leave, tell me in the comments just so I know, so I'm aware. And pretty much, I mean, yeah, that's that's what I've got. I did like the whole thing. I mean, I did write down at the beginning of that sort of encounter that Welfin almost like seemed very off-puttish, and like the idea that he didn't want to fight somebody, because I guess his form of fighting is. They did talk about this, didn't they? Like a few episodes back with Welfin, like his attack is based upon wanting to kill somebody with like one hit, and that is it. Like, it's not like he doesn't have an attack that kills somebody, like with him pulling the trigger, the proverbial trigger as well, which actually does make him quite similar to a Calgo in that way. But it's more like he puts it in motion. Like, he gives them the gun, and then if they refuse to answer the correct question or anything like that, then it's like they pull the trigger themselves, because I mean, given the, I guess Welfin would have to, every time he initiates it, have to be like, you have to do this, otherwise it's going to kill you. So yeah, I mean, but it was a nice little thing. It's nice to have Welfin turn out to be a good guy, because I mean, let's be honest, every time he did come up on screen, I was like, this is like a completely different side plot going on here, but I always found it funny every time he was on. It was like a nice little break away from like the chaos that was going on, and I always enjoyed it. So it's nice to have him be, turn out to be a good one for a change. I don't really know if he's gonna help any more than that, or come back and be part of the squad. I don't know, but I don't know. Well, I guess we'll wait and see. But yeah, I mean, that's all I've got for episode 123. So yeah, a relatively sort of short discussion on this one, but I think I pretty much covered everything with Palm, and then Icalgo, and his character to not be a coward because he's able to take punishment upon himself for the sake of other people and not dish it out. So he's got heart, and he's definitely not a coward. So yeah, really cool. But yeah, that's all I've got for that episode. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I've linked to certain things. One is a Discord, so you can get yourself over there if you wish. I also have a Patreon page as well, so if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. I'm trying to get back to doing this full time, so I'll appreciate your support if you can. There's a bunch of different tiers and rewards there that you can support me with. So there's the early access tier, $5 a month. That gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week. So by the time this episode goes out on YouTube for the general public, I'll be finished the show. So you can become an early access tier patron, have access to the rest of the show and reactions. And then you can just binge watch them all. If you can binge watch them all within a month, it's only going to cost you $5 for the rest of the shows and the rest of the episodes. So it's a pretty good deal. There's also $10 there for full length. So that doesn't matter for this show, but you can, like for other shows, you will need that if you want to watch everything, reactions uncut and everything like that. And there are other tiers there where you can pay to have certain shows react to as well. So if you want me to react to a show, then go have a look at those tiers and see what they offer. But that's all I got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.